It's time once again for everybody to come aboard that one and done train. Is it always sunny in the ASUN? We'll see who the clouds will part for this season as we break down the entire conference and tell you which two teams we believe will weather the storm and battle to the end for the ASUN crown. Welcome to One and Done. Bienvenidos a todos. I One and Done, your fast break of college basketball información. It's ASUN night here on the channel. And my name is Jay Heinrich, the conductor of the aforementioned One and Done train. Joined tonight on this fine program by El Capitan himself. He is the captain of the One and Done ship at MC Holland 34 on X, the OG Money Mike, Mr. Mike Holland. Mike, it's ASUN night, man. How you feeling?
Feeling good. We got a lot of changes to talk about in the ASUN, which I think you're going to go over here in just a second. But yeah, ready to continue rolling through our conference previews this summer. I believe as we're recording, this is number 4, so we'll get this dropped over the next couple of days. And yeah, we'll march toward the beginning of the season.
Absolutely. Make sure if you're hanging out with us here on the show, you hit all those buttons, like, subscribe, notification bells if you're watching on YouTube. And if you're checking us out where you find your favorite podcasts, places like Spotify, Apple Music, make sure you hit that 5-star review, leave us a comment, let us know you're hanging out with us there. Follow us on your favorite podcast platform as well. All right, Mike, let's not waste any more time. Let's get to it here. It's the ASUN preview. And they finished 24th out of 31 conferences in KenPom Strength of Conference metrics. It was a two-way tie for the league crown as Central Arkansas and Austin Peay both finished at 15-3. Quite an impressive run through the conference for both of those squads. Queens University, however, who finished 3rd during the regular season, would get hot during the conference tournament and capture the NCAA tournament bid. They got a 15 seed for their troubles, and they gave up triple digits in an opening round loss to Purdue. Purdue was not going to fall victim to the low seed. Again, they were going to find a way to get it done, and they scored 104 against Queens in that one. And this year, Mike, the league is going to look completely different thanks to something that we talk about on every single conference preview show that we do, it seems, and that's realignment. 5 members: West Georgia, Central Arkansas, Austin Peay, North Alabama, and Eastern Kentucky. OUT out the door to the newly formed UAC. Now, that takes the ASUN from 12, do the math, -5. Again, this is not a math show. However, that is 7. So you go down to 7, and then you add former D2 member West Florida to make it an 8-team ASUN conference for the coming season. Now, all of this movement is part of a strategic alliance between the ASUN and the UAC, a move better known in the business world as a consortium, right? So rather than a full merger, the ASUN and UAC function as independent conferences for NCAA championships. However, they share a central administrative structure that handles cross-conference scheduling, collective media rights, and revenue sharing to save a little bit of money. So, Mike, in something brand new to, this is something uncharted waters here, and the ASUN making it happen with the UAC, but it's ASUN night here, Mike, and it's time for the tiers, the world famous One and Done tiers. We break it down into the low tier, which is the foundation. We don't want to be negative. We don't want to be super negative. The low tier, and then right up to the old mid tier, and then right up to the high tier as well. So low, mid, and high tiers. And we're going to start with the low tier, Mike, down at the bottom, the foundation of the conference. And we're going to start with West Florida. We talked about them in the open there. The Argonauts. Man, there's some quality mascots in this conference.
Yes.
The Argonauts might lead the list. So tell us what we need to know about West Florida.
Yeah, well, welcome to D1, coming in from Division II, like you stated. And UWF announced the hiring of Tanner Smith to lead their program into this next phase. He comes over for Appalachian State, where he was an assistant. Look, these teams that come from D2 right up to D1, we don't expect much, which is why they're down here in the foundation tier. When you look at their roster, 6'7" Tim Hall, he's the lone returning starter from last year's squad in D2. He averaged 10 points and 8 rebounds. We're going to go ahead and stick them in the foundation tier and have them show us if they can make some noise in year 1. So West Florida kicking off the low tier here. North Florida Ospreys here. 5-13 in the conference last year, and a year to forget if you're Coach Bobby Kinnan. They were bottom 3 in defensive efficiency in the country and suffered their lowest win total since 2008. And Jay, I don't think things are going to get much better. Part of the reason they struggled defensively, they play small ball and they shoot a ton of threes, which leads to runouts and then deficiencies guarding the paint when you're that small. Now, they do have Kent Jackson returning. He averaged nearly 15 points per game. He did shoot 35% from three on nearly 10 attempts per game. Going back to what I just said, they just want to fire off a bunch of threes. So they do have a quality scorer there, but unless they can get some pop from one of these younger guys or a newcomer like guard Elijah Elliott, who's coming in from Ohio, it's going to be another tough one. And then rounding it out, as we only have 8 teams, 3 in the low tier here. Florida Gulf Coast. It is not Lob City, Dunk City, right? Coach Pat Chambers, 8-10 last year. Looks like they had this program turning the corner, man. But this past season, Jay, they took a step back.
Let's put a little bit of respect on Dunk City, okay? That was about as bright of a flame in a comet in time as like Linsanity almost. Like everybody wanted a piece of Dunk City. I remember all of their stuff selling out on like Fanatics.
Oh, 100%.
Like all of their stuff went sold out real quick. Everybody was on board there. What wasn't on board for this team last year was basically anything on the offensive end, right? They couldn't really get too much done. All 6 guys that got 20 or more minutes last year are gone. So sometimes the exits could be a good thing, right? We talk about how much turnover happens, and maybe people need a change of scenery. And we'll see if the people coming in for Florida Gulf Coast can make things happen. Just like Elijah Brooks, the guard transferring in from Houston Christian, looking to take over the reins at point guard. A little bit inefficient from the field last year, but what he brings is experience, and maybe this is the right level of him to really fine-tune his game and figure out what he does best. And if he can figure it out, man, that could help them jump out of this low tier. They're going to be really young, and experienced off the bench. Justin Hauser coming in from Penn State. You know what I like about him, Mike? He's 7 foot tall, and you can't teach that. The biggest swing piece on the roster, if his size and 9% block rate can handle bigger minutes, that would give the Eagles some outs to get out of this low tier, along with my guy Elijah Brooks. Excellent stuff there. Our low tier, Florida Gulf Coast, North Florida and West Florida, the Argonauts, the Ospreys, and the Eagles. Quite an impressive lower tier there of mascots. And we're not done in this conference with the fun mascots. No. And we're also not done breaking down these tiers. So make sure you hit the like and subscribe button if you're watching on YouTube. Make sure you follow us on your favorite podcasting platform, Spotify, Apple Music, whatever it is that you dig. Make sure you follow us over there. Give a 5-star review as we move on to the old mid tier. Mike, it's mid-tier time. Mid. And Bellarmine is going to be Bellarmid, in my opinion. Doug Davenport took over the program last year after his father, Scott, retired, and we like them to be competitive, but I don't know if this is a team that's necessarily going to challenge for the title.
Yeah, I mean, the good news for the Knights, hey, they won more conference games last year, which was 7. They went 7-11 in conference than they did the previous 2 years combined, which was 6. So, yeah, you got the train back on the tracks here. A big part of that, the offense, man, top 75 offensive efficiency in the country, actually 72nd. And that helped what was a very poor defensive end. They were actually the worst defensive efficiency in the entire country last year. But hey, if you're scoring the basketball at a high clip in the lower mid-major ranks, it's going to give you an opportunity to win some games. So they were able to win 7 games last year. Obviously, their defense is going to be a huge question mark again, but you do like the 50% of their minutes return, their minutes played here. So that's the most by far in this conference. You have flamethrowing guards Kenyon Gooden and Taylor Doyle. They're back along with wing creator Sam Donald. So this team's once again going to be able to score in bunches. The problem is they're small, and can they get stops? And they got a lot of inexperience in their depth. It's going to be a ton of freshmen coming in. So can they get a breakout player or two out of the freshman ranks to get them into the high tier? But for now, keeping them in the mid tier. And then Lipscomb, the Bisons, 12-6 last year. Coach Kevin Carroll did a fine job replacing Lenny Acuff last year. They kind of profile similarly to Bellarmine, and that they're going to be able to shoot threes. They're going to be able to score the basketball. I'll say that their floor is much safer on the defensive end than Bellarmine. But they also have depth questions. There's 7 incoming freshmen on the roster. A lot's going to be on the shoulders of this experienced backcourt. You have Mateo Esmeraldo. He averaged 10 points per game, 7 assists while shooting 37% from 3. He actually earned third-team All-ASUN. And then you have fellow senior guard Titus Sargunis, who started 19 games. But he's definitely going to need to improve his efficiency. So like that backcourt pairing. For them to kind of take another leap, though, they're going to have to figure out how to replace Asman and Williams in this front court. Those two guys were really good last year, part of the reason why they won 12 games in the conference. So I'm looking at Central Arkansas transfer big Truman Byrne as an interesting player. Like, he shot 35% from 3 and carried a 19% assist rate as a freshman last year at Central Arkansas. So those are metrics that you look at and you say, man, this guy could really be a game changer. So he's able to take a step forward and progress, man. So what are your thoughts here, Jay?
Yeah, I mean, that's the guy right there that if he does take that next step forward with his game, they might be more than competitive. They might be ultra competitive in this conference and maybe even make a jump by the end of it all up to the high tier. Look out, ladies and gents, for Lipscomb as a potential high tier contender. All right, let's get those pieces in place for them, and let's see if the pieces are going to fall into place for Stetson. And here we go. We got another fantastic mascot here, the Hatters of Stetson. Coach Donnie Jones' squad, struggled the last 2 years. We remember back those 23 and 24 seasons. I know that fans of this program remember them fondly. Does he have a chance to get back to 500 basketball, Mike, with the roster he assembled this offseason? I think he could. What's your take on that?
Yeah, so, I mean, you kind of look at this roster. You got the return of senior forward Colin Kuehl. He averaged 13 points, 6 boards, shot 37% from 3. He was third team All-ASUN. He did test the transfer portal, but obviously getting him to come back, huge news for them. And you look at their front court, and you're saying, like, this is clearly the best front court in the country, so that's going to give them a shot at it in every single game. Another contender for the high tier, right? You got Finley Sheridan. He's a 6'10" kid that shot 42% from 3 last year. And then you have these transfers coming in, right, from FIU and Middle Tennessee, respectively. You got Diago Sukatsky and then Alec Oglesby. So I think those two guys are going to be able to to bring some juice to this backcourt here. And they're another team that's going to be able to score the ball. Their defensive profile, a lot of the teams in this conference, their defensive metrics don't look good and don't project well. I think that's the thing that's going to kind of hold them back. But, you could definitely see a Stetson. You could definitely see a Lipscomb, or you could definitely see a Bellarmine, rise up to this high tier. But for now, as we sit recording in early July, Jay, I think it's safe that we put them in the mid tier as we're about to talk about these two teams up in the high tier.
The Hatters, the Bisons, and the Knights. I mean, another extremely solid tier of names, but also a very solid group of teams that's going to solidify the middle of this conference, at least we think, this upcoming season. All right, Mike, that is the old mid tier. We did low and mid, and then as you can see right there, if you're watching on YouTube and if you're listening on one of your favorite streaming platforms, shout out to you as well. But I was pointing at the high tier right here on one and done, and it's time for those two teams, Mike, that we feel like will really contend for the top spot in this conference. And yes, Jacksonville fans, that's right. You have not seen your logo up there yet. The Dolphins of Jacksonville, who went 7-11 in the conference last season. A pretty new roster here for Coach Jordan Mincy, right? Year 6 with what we think will be his best chance to claim the conference. Like I said, a newer roster, but they have proven talent and intriguing upside coming in from the portal, Mike.
Yeah, I love this roster. So it starts with the wing here, Hayden Wood. He averaged 12 points per game, shot 38% from 3. He's definitely one of the best scorers coming back in the league. And then you have guard Evan Stirk. Really productive freshman year. He earned 23 starts last year. I expect him to be much more comfortable in year 2. But what's making this backcourt really complete and a contender on a nightly basis is this interconference transfer of Jamie Phillips from Stetson, man. He averaged 16 points, 5.5 boards, and almost 3 assists and shot 35% from 3. So this backcourt looking really, really salty. And then they got other veterans coming in. They got this Minnesota big coming in, Nehemiah Turner. I think he's going to be able to find a little more operating space coming down from the Big Ten. He didn't get a lot of playing time last year, and he's already been in the mid-major ranks. As a freshman at Central Arkansas, he basically carried 110 offensive rating and ranked second in the conference in shot block percentage and fouls drawn, while also being ninth in the country in usage. So, I definitely like the way this roster looks here for Jacksonville.
That's a hard agree from me. This roster looks like the real deal, Mike, and that's something that makes us have Jacksonville right up there in our high tier. And joining them, the Queens Royals. That's right. We got Dolphins and Royals in the top. I mean, this is top to bottom, one of the best conferences for mascots. But the Royals and Coach Grant Leonard made history last year by making their first NCAA tournament appearance in school history at the ripe old age of 4 years old in D1. So obviously, Mike, expectations are through the roof for Queens. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, expectations through the roof. And then you look at the dynamic duo that they have coming back, two of the best players in the conference. So you bring back two of the best players in a mid-major conference, and you're going to be expected to do big things, especially after going 13-5 last year. So you look at it, you got Avante Parker. He averaged 11 points, 5 boards, shot 38.5% from three. He was third team all ASUN. And you have guard Jordan Watford, who in limited minutes averaged 12 points, 4 assists, shot 37.5% from three. And he was all freshman ASUN. So that duo is obviously going to be able to carry this team to a lot of victories. They have a really high floor. Going to be a lot of new faces around them. You have the most intriguing of the bunch here. You have a forward here in Julius Matusik, who's from Slovakia. He's coming over from playing professional ball overseas. And then they added a sharpshooter, right? And Dante Kirsch from the Citadel. So he's got some support pieces here for Coach Grant Leonard to go with Parker and Watford. And I just really like the way that this squad looks. They have a lot of momentum coming over from last year. And then, I mean, it's pretty nice when you get two of your better players and two of the better players in the conference back on your squad here.
That sure doesn't hurt. And it makes us like Queens' chances to sit atop this conference again. Joining them in the high tier right here on the ASUN Power Rankings on one end on Queens and Jacksonville right at the top. In the mid tier, that's Stetson, Lipscomb, and Bellarmine. And then down there in the foundation, if you're watching on YouTube, you can see it right there on your viewing device. Florida Gulf Coast, North Florida, and West Florida. An 8-team ASUN, an exciting conference for names, and a conference looking to improve their standing. 24th out of 31 in the nation last year, according to Ken Palm's strength of conference metrics. And, maybe Jacksonville is the team this year that makes the surprise run. Maybe Queens makes it back. Maybe one of those mid-tier teams sneaks in there and does it. Like Queens last year was, they finished third in the regular season. And what do you know? Make a run and put up, a little bit of a fight and give up 104 points in the tournament. But that's okay. You made it. You won the spot. Shout out to Queens and Jacksonville atop our ASUN preseason power rankings for the 26-27 season. Excellent stuff from everybody all around. We hope you hit all those buttons and hang out with us all off-season long. We are breaking down every single conference all across the country from we're going to do Patriot League.
Yeah.
We're going to do the Ivy League.
Yeah.
That's right. The Ivy League. So make sure if you're hanging out with us at this point in the offseason, you push all those buttons, you follow us on Spotify or Apple Music. You make sure you follow us on YouTube by hitting the subscribe button right here on FSAN Basketball. Make sure you follow my guy on screen with you right there. He's El Capitan himself at MC Holland 34 on X, the OG Money Mike. That is Mr. Mike Holland. Shout out to Eric the Blue getting the studio ready. Shout out to Napesy Hustle pushing the buttons as well. And shout out to you for hanging out with us on One and Done. Until next time, take care of yourselves. Tell somebody that you love them. My name is JAYHEINRICH. Come again. We'll see you.